There we go. Audio back in action. What's going on, everybody? It is time for the Monday Mukbang, 3 p.m. Monday, New Vienna, August 3rd, 2020. How you guys doing today? This is, hopefully, I think you guys can hear me. This is a Monday Mukbang that I am super excited about. We have got a vegetarian version of Made Rights, which I think in the most flattering version of Iowa copyright or copy that you advertising copy that you can think of is described of as a loose meat sandwich. It's kind of like a sloppy Joe. I think it's a predecessor sandwich to the sloppy Joe. That's my personal theory on it in terms of the food etymology or food history of it. But I made a vegetarian version. It's not great, but it's a very suitable facsimile. So that's what I got today. First, I thought I saw we got a cowbell alert. Guy says he completed a 50K with 6,560 feet of climbing on Saturday in 6 hours and 32 minutes. It is the hardest thing he's ever done. So proud. Awesome. Congratulations, guy. That is an amazing amount of climbing. Whew. Where did you go to do that? Let me know where that was. That is just incredible. Well done. Let's see who else is here before we dig into the sandwiches for today. We got Lewis Cameron here. Came in super early, 2:34 on the timestamp. Jonathan Fans here, Regan Dugan, Chris Yao, Not Really Hank Aaron, and JC saying happy Monday or Tuesday, depending on where you are, which is very true. It's a global audience here. Terrence Hui says, first time noticing the troll on today's video. Oh, okay, you saw him. It's kind of like an Easter egg, I guess, at this point. There is the marble run videos that I watch with my daughter sometimes, although I watch them more than my daughter does. They plant intentional Easter eggs. They say, like, make sure you look for like the green speckled marble in the audience, and this because they send up marbles as spectators in these marble racing videos. So there's like things that you're supposed to look for, which I like because then it makes for like dual watching, or make people watch multiple times. But I didn't see the troll today. I got super busy today making the sandwiches for today and also helping my daughter. She is on like a cooking tear. She's made guacamole this morning, tortilla chips out of some tortillas. She made a peach and tomato salad, which sounds weird. I haven't eaten it yet. We'll see how that goes. She's been making breakfast for me a lot and my wife. A lot recently, so she's been cooking like crazy. So I've been helping her out. So I haven't seen that guy yet. Regan Dugan says the polar guy. I think that's who we're talking about. We'll see. All right, let's dig into the sandwich. Let me show you the sandwich first, because I'm having like a bit of a hot ones problem where you make the food ahead of time and then you got to get camera set up and you talk for a while, then the food kind of like sits. So these are the loose meat sandwiches or the vegetarian Made Rights. I used Boca crumbles, like Boca Burger, like the Boca brand crumbles. And I couldn't find any onions in this house, so I used minced onion instead. It normally just calls for diced onion, but I use like a dried version of it. The sauce that's in here is mostly ketchup, a little bit of mustard, and a little bit of chili powder. That's kind of it. I added a little bit of water because I felt like, if I had a regular cooked, like a hamburger level of fat meat, I would have had a little bit more liquid and fat to it. So I had a little bit of vegetable oil, a little bit of water. And then I like to have mine with pickles. You serve them on like like super puffy, white, cakey hamburger buns. Normally you kind of like spoon it, scoop it onto the bun, slap the top on and eat them real fast because usually they'll make like the bun real soggy, but these are holding up pretty well. And then we'll top them up with the tops, but I like to add a little bit of mustard, and I thought what better mustard for the Made Rights than Fairway brand mustard. It's a grocery store. I don't know if it's based in Iowa. It's a chain. There's several of them, but there's a lot of them in Iowa. So I'm going to top some mustard on mine because I like a little bit of extra mustard. Let's see. Lots of people like lots of different ways. I like the leftovers topped with egg, which is definitely not traditional, but we'll dive in. It's pretty good. I mean, I feel like the flavors are pretty close to other Made Rights that I've had before. And the texture of the crumble, I think vegetarian crumble works best. I think vegetarian crumble is the best like fake meat version because you're usually putting it with lots of other things and flavors and textures, so you don't notice the difference as much. This is good. I think this is a recipe that I'll pass on to some of my nieces and nephews. Some of them are vegetarian or struggling with vegetarianism, so they're vegetarian sometimes. I feel like this is something they could eat that could help kind of like serve as a bridge food. Yeah. This is what it looks like. Not pretty, but there it is. Sorry, I'm messing with my manual focus here. But that's a quick look at it. We'll keep eating that as we go. But let's see what else we got going today. Awesome. Guy says it looks amazing. I think it's tasty. It's a very it's a nice and savory sandwich. And I think it'd be a good one for people looking to go vegetarian. I think this is a recipe kind of like worth checking out. For the drink, I'm going with some Country Time lemonade. So I think probably I would guess traditional would be like a Dr. Pepper, or maybe a Mr. Pibb. I think that would be traditional to go with a made right sandwich. Although, I mean, given like the time frame in which like the sandwich is kind of like originated and when the Made Right franchise started to like proliferate, my guess would probably be like a root beer is traditional. Louis M says, gotta love that loose meat. All right. Martha says she blocked that troll, and so did a couple of other people's. Martha says, "Where's the hot sauce?" Yeah, I think that hot sauce is good on it. I've had them that way before. I like the Louisville or something like that, the one with the yellow label and like the red like trim. That one, that one's a pretty good sauce to put on top, or just Tabasco goes on really well with it. But I thought I'd go with, I've already switched up a lot of things, and I'm adding a pickle, and I'm adding extra mayonnaise, and it's vegetarian, of all things. So, sorry, I'm putting my phone away. So I felt like, I'm going to not add too many everything, give you guys like a flavor of like what the real thing is like. Because it's mostly ketchup, a little bit of mustard, and chili powder, it's kind of like almost like a very basic barbecue sauce. A lot of the rudimentary elements are there. I think that all it would really need to be more of a barbecue flavor would be sugar, really. But yeah. JC says, I remember on the old Roseanne show, they were going to open a loose meat sandwich business. Were they really? I don't remember that. I recently watched an episode of the new Roseanne, and they were working at the diner, which I remember being a fixture of the old show. But I don't remember them wanting to open up a loose meat sandwich business. That's fantastic. Because I thought, what state is Roseanne based out of? Is it Ohio? Is that what it is? Because I didn't think they had these in Ohio. Interesting. Yeah. Lewis Cameron says Gatorade in the juice box container. That is a throwback as well. Oh, I remember those. I felt like the kids that had that, those were like the rich kids, because then their parents could afford the Gatorade. I bought my lunch every day. So I remember our lunches were anywhere between 95 cents to $1.45, $1.85. I remember I could buy it for and then I think maybe by the end of high school it was $2.50, something like that. It wasn't a lot of money. For school lunch, but I loved school lunch. Recycle on Wednesday said, I 100% thought loose meat sandwich was afraid invented just for the show. No, man. I can't make that up. It's just totally legit. That's what it's called. Lewis Cameron said on Roseanne, they stole the idea on a road trip. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Did they call it a loose meat sandwich? I'm going to have to look up that. I bet you that's somewhere in Roseanne folklore. There's got to be some sort of Roseanne wiki that goes over the different episodes. Amazing. Vince Vanderpeer says, just ordered the New Balance Propel for $60. Which shoe does it best compare to? I would probably put it close to, given that it's the fuel cell version, I haven't tried the endorphin shift yet, but I think it's going to line up kind of close towards that. It is like, if you think about the fuel cell lineup from last year, they had like the Rebel and the Propel were the two. The Rebel, I think the third one was that the Mile Racer that they had as the third? I forget which one was considered like the racing one. But the Rebel, which I have, is more the tempo shoe, and the Propel is like that, in that family is like the daily trainer. So that's kind of where it lines up. It's a daily trainer, but with the fuel cell foam in it, which is different than, say, like the fresh foam that is in the Beacon. So that's kind of where it slots in. Martha says, I still think loose meat sounds threateningly sexual. I mean, it really could. I mean, could be. It came about during like the 50s, I want to say, in terms of the phrase. So like, that's just, I mean, it seems like, to me, it seems like they've gone out of their way to distinguish or try to figure out a way to talk about the made right sandwich without violating trademark and without like making it sound too much like a sloppy Joe. So it seems like they're trying to really thread the needle, and like loose meat sandwich is the best they could come up with. It's just so great. It's so crazy. Brett Reed and Jay Campos saying Roseanne was based in Illinois. Oh, how did I not know that? Oh, man. Well, then it makes it very likely that they could have gone on a road trip and found it out. Man, that's awesome. Martha says, for the loose meat weird mile, there will be the non-meat alternative, just like Hot Ones has plant-based wings. I think so. Here's what I'm thinking, guys. So I've kind of mapped out my next few videos for like the next like week or so. And I think what I'm going to do is I just ordered my new measuring wheel so I can measure out with particularity how far a quarter mile is, so I can do like 400-meter repeats. So I'll run out and back, and I'll set up like 2 stations. I think I'm just going to pick an empty road back here. And I'm picking a road near here, and I want one that's flat, just so that to be a little bit easier on myself. But I also want to pick one that's close to here, so in the event that there's a weird mile that involves alcohol, I don't have to drive. So that's what I'm trying to do. So I think I'm going to pick a road out by the post office back there. I go by it every day, and it's really flat. I very rarely see cars back there. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to post like several days ahead of time. I think the first one's going to be coffee. And so I think I'm going to try and find, I guess I'll have to pick one. But I'll pick a coffee. But I'll let you guys know like as far ahead of time as possible, like what day it's going to be. And I'll post that I'll let you guys know about it here, but I'll post it on in the Strava group as well, in case you guys want to do it. And then like I'll post the thing in the Strava group, and then you guys can post your times there with me if you guys want. And I think the nice thing about Strava posts is that they let you, the format is really ugly, but at least it lets you post a picture as well. So it's kind of like Twitter, but it's better than an Instagram reply. So I think that's what we're going to do with that. I think the first one's going to be coffee, because we talked about that one first. Timothy Pim says, what's mukbang? Mukbang is it's like a weird Korean internet thing. So I guess I'm like co-opting my own culture. I don't know, Korean. I don't really identify, I guess, with Korean culture, but so it's like a Korean thing where it's called like eating programming is what it translates to. I thought it translated to eating room, because 방 is also the room for room, and so the word like in Korea, a karaoke bar is called 노래방. With 노래 is singing or a song, and so song room. And so the way karaoke works in Korea is very different than the way that karaoke works in the US, where here in the US you go to like a bowling alley, and then there's a stage, and then like everyone's there and everyone sees everyone else singing. In Korea, the way that karaoke bars work is like everyone gets like a private room, so you get like these living rooms. And so like the only people that see you sing are the people that you came with. And so like you take like 10, 15 people, you rent out the 노래방, and you have like your own flat screen and the microphones, and like you get like drink and food service in there. So that's how that works. So 노래방, song room. I thought mukbang was like a play on that, whereas like you eat in the room. In other words, like a chat room. And it got like loose meat sandwich, it got strangely sexual. And so I think a lot of it was like very attractive, like women would eat like really large amounts of food, is where like the internet took it. And there was things like super chat where like creepy dudes would like pay them to like now eat the tiramisu, like that kind of thing. So it got weird. I think it's still kind of weird. My wife, I came up here because she works at this table over here when I'm not doing live streams, and I brought the sandwiches up, and she's like, "You're gonna eat that in front of people?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "The internet is weird," and I'm like, "It is. It really is." So that's what a mukbang is to me, in as short a way as I could explain it as possible, I guess. Oh, Jen from Moi hitting on a very specific note that I can resonate with. She said, and of course, as soon as I saw it and I started talking about it, the comment shifts up. I don't know if that happens to you guys. But she says, being an Asian kid in suburbia myself, I love school cafeteria food as well. I totally agree. I totally agree. Because it was foreign. It was like what I would imagine what other kids experienced when they went to like their first food court experience at the mall. And you had like Taco Bell and like Panda Express and Sbarro. Like school cafeteria food was like that for me. It was amazing. It was like a different cuisine all the time. And it was all really salty and tasty. But I really loved school. And I just felt like, see, I'm being normal. I'm eating just like everybody else. And I've been thinking about getting it. I actually didn't get it for my next audiobook, but I keep debating on it. But like, what's his name? The chef. The Asian chef, they made the show Fresh Off the Boat about his book. His name's escaping me right now. But I listened to a sample of his audiobook. And I was like, yeah, that was like me in a lot of ways. I relate to a lot of that stuff he was talking about. He kind of talks about like growing up Asian and getting picked on and stuff like that. So, yeah. So, but anyway, but yeah, eating like cafeteria food was magnificent. Some of the best eating I ever did. I was a very picky eater for a long time growing up. Henguse asks a question. What do you think about muscle hypertrophy in terms of running long distance? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Like within a single run, or if you run long distance over time, and the fact that like your muscles change, like from being like, let's say you were playing a basketball player to being like a long distance runner. Like, is that what you're talking about? I'm not sure. Maybe you could clarify that for me. And then Timmy Pim asks, it's PMM, but I've been saying it Pim. I just think it rolls off the tongue a little bit better. I apologize if that's not how you say it. When you run really fast in the Peg 37, do you feel the cushioning a lot? Or, I feel it a lot. I think that the Pegasus 37 is better at a little bit faster than easy pace. It's decent at like very fast pace. And my overall experience with it is, for all the hype that they put into the Zoom Air Pocket this year, they talked about how much they changed it from other years, and it was supposed to be all specific for men versus women. Like, I thought it was the least prominent air pocket I felt, I think, maybe since the 32. So that's kind of like where I'm feeling on it. I do think that the React Foam is pretty useful for longer, faster runs. I like it there, but in terms of feeling it like a lot of cushion, it's not. Cushion isn't the best word that I would use to describe that shoe. All right, let's see. I'm going to scroll down a little bit because Steven76 is talking about school cafeteria food. Square pizza, okra, and chocolate milk. Yeah, I never had okra at school lunch. The only time I've ever eaten okra, as far as I can remember. I mean, I might have had it recently, like having it like in a gumbo or like something like that. But like the last time the only time I really remember eating okra is at Sizzler, because Sizzler used to have fried okra. You guys remember Sizzler? I loved that place. That was like my favorite place to eat. If school cafeteria food for me growing up was good, Sizzler was like going on vacation. I just loved it. It was just like everything, like it was all just like American food or like normal food, and it was like the pinnacle of it, and you could eat as much of it as you wanted. That was amazing. School cafeteria was good because it was so incredibly cheap, and like everyone ate it. So like I don't know, I just really liked it. Oh yeah, Chris Dyke says one of the best Hot Ones ever episode ever was with Eddie. Yeah, that's the guy that wrote Fresh Off the Boat, the chef, Eddie Wong, right? No, not Pyro Dan, not David Chang, Eddie Wong. Huang is, yeah, Eddie Huang, Mark Chang Coco got it. Recycle on Wednesday helped out with that too. And yeah, it was, that was a crazy one because it's always, because he comes in with so much bravado and he came in with like, I got this. He's like, I know hot food. And then he came in and he tried to flip the script and eat it from the hottest one to the mildest. And that totally screwed him up. Because I think it didn't give his taste buds a chance to desensitize and numb by the time he got to the hottest one. So, yeah. So that one was funny. But I mean, I wouldn't peg him as, like, the voice of, like, an Asian immigrant generation. But, like, the experiences that he talks about and the way that he talks about them just resonate with me quite a bit. Ines Dunbar says, my son was asking about the mukbang. I said you're trying running gels or drinks. I'm not telling him about you eating a couple of filled rolls. I mean, a lot of times it's running gels and like that kind of stuff. But, you know, I felt like after a while, it's like that got kind of boring. You know, this is funnier. And I think Martha makes a good point. I think eating what you don't get to eat at home is always exciting for the kids. Mm-hmm. That's why I feel like for my daughter, my wife bakes a lot. My mother-in-law bakes a tremendous amount. But some of the treats that they love the most is like store-bought stuff, especially with my daughter because she has peanut allergies and there's a lot of stuff she can't have. So when she can have certain things like ice cream in particular or like cakes, anyway, any food where like peanut butter flavored stuff is like really popular, she likes to have the store-bought quite a bit. My in-laws make homemade ice cream, and the ice cream maker that they have requires snow from outside, and you just take like salt, like I think they use salt from like the water softener, and then snow from outside, and there's like a little cylinder that sits in a bucket, and then you make ice cream with it. It's like magic. It's like a time machine and a dessert maker all in one. It's so incredible. And then like the kids are all like, this is okay. And the adults are all like, this is fantastic. It tastes like nostalgia. And then the kids are like, is there any regular ice cream? So that's kind of how kids are. But Stevie Samuel says, talking about that square pizza. I loved square pizza. I mean, it fit perfectly. I mean, like the parallelism of it fit inside the rectangular portion inside the school lunch tray. And it maximized the ratio of like food tray to food item in terms of amount of pizza you get. I thought it was beautiful. And I remember the first time I had my mom go out and buy square pizza because I wanted to have more. I was like, once a week on Fridays is not enough. I need more of that pizza. And so I had her buy some. And Elio's was the brand that made those square pizzas. And I only knew how to use the microwave. I didn't know how to use like a toaster oven. I don't even know if we had a toaster oven at the time. But I tried making it in the microwave, and I was so disappointed that it wasn't like crispy, crunchy, and tasty like it was at school. It was all soggy and sad. So, sorry. There's a lot of weird food memories happening today. James Kim asks, is the solar salt edible? I guess it's like for the water softener, but it wasn't that we were eating it. It made the snow as it melted like basically a slurry, like almost like a super cool type of solution. So like it got way below freezing point because it just got so cold. So that's what makes it awesome. And like the colder it is, the faster like the milk can crystallize and become ice cream, and the faster the milk crystallizes, the more air gets trapped inside. The more air inside your ice cream, the more like luxurious it feels in terms of like mouthfeel. Another weird food word with like strange sexual connotations. But yeah, so that's what makes like really expensive ice cream worth so much, is because there's a lot of air in it. Stephen Christ says, have you ever planned a vacation around a running destination? We haven't yet, but I think the closest that we'll do to that is we were either going to do like the Dopey Marathon Challenge, like in January, like end of January, there's a marathon at Disney World. So that could be kind of like not a running destination vacation, but a vacation with running a big part of it. And then the other thing I've thought about was we'd really like to go to the Disney Resort in Hawaii. And so I'd like to time that with some sort of like event. I don't know what event it would be. It wouldn't really matter too much, but I'd love to be able to do kind of like vacation and go for a run, like a race in Hawaii. Rainrunner says, Goose sells a maple bacon gel. I wonder if there's actual meat in it or if it's vegetarian. J. Mike Rennie says, can we actually call Elio's pizza, quote unquote pizza? I think so. I mean, yeah. Oh, you know what got mentioned yesterday? I forget what I was watching. Oh, I was watching, there was a new Disney like made-for-TV movie called Upside Down Magic. There's a series of books that my daughter is now reading as well. And during that show, they mentioned French bread pizza. And since then, I haven't been able to stop thinking about French bread pizza. And I'm like, I don't know, like, any of the places that I think we could get French bread around here, I'm not sure that we'd feel comfortable eating that from a bakery perspective. And I'm like, my attempts at making, like, a baguette are always disappointing. But I really want French bread pizza now. J. Mike Remy says, I'm behind on co-content. Did we get an Adazero Pro review yet? Yeah, I did one on the Adazero Pro. I did not do one on the Adios Pro. I don't have that one. I have a feeling I'm not going to be able to get one of those this year. But on the Adazero Pro, I felt like it's a shoe that, like, if you're real good at running in the Adios 5, it's a great racing shoe. And, like, the Adios 5, I feel like there's not a lot of people can race in that shoe. That's a tough shoe to run a marathon in, I think. And I still think the Adazero Pro is tough to run a marathon in. I think I could run a really great half marathon in it. And I'm looking forward to running some, fast intervals and tempo paces in that. But I just don't, it's not the marathon super shoe that I was looking for. Martha says, when I was a kid, we also made ice cream peach. Oh, that sounds lovely. With the old-fashioned hand-cranked wooden barrel thing. Ate it all on the spot. Oh, yeah. I mean, you can't leave that. I mean, I know you're supposed to let it freeze and, like, kind of, like, solidify a little bit more, but, like, eating it straight away, that's the best way to do it. J. Mike Rummy says, Dopey challenge when Florida's safe again. Let's all go. I'm down for it. I think it's a great idea. Lucas Luli Campo says, "Hi, Kafuz, did you ever run in Boulder? How was it?" I've never been in Colorado, the state. I mean, I think I might have had a stopover at the airport at some point, but I've never been there. That's another place that I can't wait to go once, like, I don't know when, but whenever it's safe to do so, whatever that means, that's a place that I definitely want to go. MC1796 says, really great underrated trip is staying at the Lodge in Cloudcrop, New Mexico. Beautiful hotel in a very beautiful part of the country. Back in the early 1900s, it got some very famous guests. And Frank Lahuli was saying, good running in Cloudcroft. That sounds cool. I've never heard of Cloudcroft. But I think that, like, there's a lot in the American Southwest that is, I think, just unknown gems. That I think there's a lot to discover. Steve Arnberg says, doesn't Stouffer still make French red pizza? I used to love that. Burn roof of mouth every time. For sure. I feel like if you didn't burn your mouth on the Stouffer's French red pizza, you weren't eating it right. So I'm going to have to see if that's I think we're going to have to get some of that. And that might be the next mukbang. Spence Ohm says, stop talking about Disney. I want to go back so bad. Epcot is my jam. Hey, does anyone know, is it still open? Because I know they were open for a while. Like, just as Florida's cases started rising like super crazy, that's when they opened up. There was like a mini, not a strike, but a protest before they opened up and everything from the employees. And then it opened anyway, so I don't know what was really going on. And then, like, as the case counts kept rising, they were like, and Disney's still open. Is it still open? Anyone know? Georgia Miss CD says, what do you think of Wiener Circle? I've only been there once, and it was not, like, in the middle of the night. And I feel like that's, like, kind of only half getting the experience. They do offer a vegetarian burger. It's not great, but if you're going there with a whole bunch of people and they're all eating something, there is something that you can eat. But I hear it's a pretty fun place if you go at a rowdy time of night. Sorry, I'm just chowing down on this. Chowing down on the vegetarian made right sandwich. It's really good. I kind of got distracted there. Rainrunner says, I miss tri-state area pizza. West Coast pizza just isn't the same. I completely agree with you. Whenever I go back to the East Coast, I always eat pizza. There's lots of things that I'd like to eat. Lots of different Korean food that I want to eat whenever I go back. But, like, the thing that I always can find a way to get is pizza. The other thing that I can usually find, because my parents always have, like, a good stash of it on hand all the time, is bagels. So, like, those are the two things that I love to eat when I go back. I'm just thinking about it now. Like, the bite that you get when you bite into a real good bagel, it's like a nice snap. It's good. So, man, a lot of food talk today. Well, of course, it's a Monday Mukbang day. Lewis M says, my guilty pleasure is Totino's frozen pizzas. Oh, interesting. I wonder if that's like a generational thing. Because, like, I didn't really eat a lot of Totino's growing up. I don't think it really existed. The only Totino's that I remember is pizza rolls. That's the same company, right? Totino's Pizza Rolls? Yeah. Chris Yao giving us the update on Disney World says, all 4 Walt Disney World theme parks in Disney Springs are open. And the park attendance is managed via the Disney Park Pass reservation system. Ooh. My wife and I were thinking about it. We're like, well, if they have to like limit attendance, it could be a really good time to go because you wouldn't be waiting forever in line if there's not a lot of people. But then I was like, but you have to survive being in Florida to get into the park. That's like the hard thing, I think. And I was like, how are we going to get there? Our kids, any trip longer than like 30 minutes and our kids will vomit in a car. So it's like, it's a gauntlet to drive anywhere with them. Bert Legas says, I'm pretty sure West Coast Pizza Hut and East Coast Pizza Hut are pretty similar. You know, I would venture a guess to say that they are. But one of the things I would say is, like, when I've had work travel and, you know, I go around and it's like the evening and I want to get something to eat, the pizza that's available at like kind of the late night spots it's on the East Coast, it's all terrible. San Francisco doesn't have good like late night pizza. San Diego does not have like good like regular, like, I mean, like giant slice folded in half, cheese is orange, drips orange like oil, like that kind of pizza. There's not a good one of that. And that's kind of like, that's what I grew up eating, so that's what I like engaging as good. So it's a relative term. I'm not trying to insult the West Coast pizza. If you grew up eating that, whatever it is that they have there, I don't know, like a chicken Alfredo broccoli pizza, like that's fine. That's what you grew up eating, and that's good for you to eat, but not me. I don't know where you ate pizza, Bert, but just knocking the pizza, I guess. Jody Run says, do you find there is much difference in the accuracy of the OH1 and the Polar chest strap? Jody, I don't think that there is. I think that's pretty similar as far as like I can discern on easy runs and on hard workouts where I've worn both of the devices at the same time. Because then I've had one like, but when I do that, I have like one connect to my phone and use the Polar Beat app, and I have the other connected like the watch, so I can have 2 different recordings. And there seems to be like a slight like milliseconds of delay because I think of the distance between like the sensor and my heart. And the sensor and my heart from like the armband. So I think that's all I've really noticed. But other than that, it seems to be pretty similar. It's surprising. Like I'm like, how can an optical sensor be like that accurate from here when from here it's almost not usable? But it is. It seems it's a surprise. Carrie S says, I'm from the West Coast. West Coast does not have good pizza. Well. I didn't bring any napkins up here. Ross W says, DC specializes in jumbo slice, which is probably four times the size of a New York slice. Is it outrageous and only for drunk people? That's funny. In Chicago, there's a place called Bocce Pizza. And when I first moved to Chicago, it was jumbo slice and a Pepsi for $5. And the slice, they call the slice as big as your head. And it's gigantic. It probably is the equivalent of 2 to 3 slices of New York style. And the crust is like, it's thicker. It's kind of Elio's like style of crust where it's a little bit crunchy, crackery, but thick is probably the best way to describe it. What it lacks in flavor, it makes up in quantity. And they sell it with like 20 ounces of Pepsi. Not quite, no, is it 20? It's bigger than a 20 ouncer. It's almost like a liter size of Pepsi. It's crazy. Kyle Patton says, I love a comically large pizza slice. The biggest I've had was around 2 feet long. That's so weird. I'd love to see that. Jody Run says, thanks. In terms of the armband, I have a Sunto chest strap and it jumps all over the place. Time to get a Polar. Yeah. I mean, I would check the battery. That might be another thing if it is jumping all over the place. But I also think it could be worth taking a look at the armband because at least in the cold weather, I have a hard time getting a good chest signal because of just my anatomy. I've got kind of a deformity in my rib cage where it doesn't sit quite so flush. And so like in the wintertime, I have a real hard time getting a chest strap signal. And so just the different location helps for me. Plant Power Dan asks, what about Chicago deep dish, yeah or nay? I don't like it. I prefer to call it a pizza style casserole, but people in Chicago, I mean, the thing is, people in Chicago don't eat deep dish pizza on a regular basis. Not most of the Chicagoans that I know. Deep dish pizza is something that you take visitors to Chicago to eat. That's kind of the way that I eat it. And a lot of the people, and granted, most of the people that I know in Chicago are not natives, but even amongst the natives, they're eating like home run in pizza, or like depending on where you're from, maybe you're eating Beggar's Pizza, or like you're eating just like your local spot, which has like a regular style pizza slice, and then you don't always eat the deep dish. But yeah. Kyle Patton said, there's a place in Savannah, Georgia that's now closed that had wicked huge slices that were super tasty. Amazing. Patrick Funk says, yo, everyone, a little late to the party. Hope everyone is doing well today. Yeah, the food talk today is feisty. It's nice. I'm enjoying it. Frank LaHoulier says, I think deep dish makes the most sense for cheesiness. Cheeseless or cheesiness? I'm not sure which one you mean. Someone wrote, call 911 words Chicago pizza. No. It's only if I say unequivocally that it's the best. That's the key. That's the trick of it. I think Chicago deep dish pizza is fine for people who grew up eating it. I don't think that people that grew up eating it preferred as their like go-to Friday night style of pizza. But if I ever say like it is the best and I was wrong on all previous occasions, like that kind of thing, then that would be the signal. So Frank LaHoulier likes deep dish pizza for pizza without cheese? That's interesting because it's like the thing with deep dish pizza is you get so much cheese on it. But I guess you also get so many of everything else, like toppings and stuff. You get, the sauce is a little bit sweet, typically for a Chicago style pizza. but you get a lot of it. And if you're getting like a vegetarian one or a meat lovers, you're getting a ton of stuff. Or they call them garbage pizzas. You get a little bit of everything. Um, hmm. Let's see. Martha was saying something about. Oh no, Parchik Fung says it's like here we don't go shopping at West Edmonton Mall, world's second largest mall, still maybe, but we take visitors there, kind of like the deep dish of pizza. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know that West Edmonton had a big mall, but I think that like in like maybe in North America, but like I feel like Asia, like the Philippines in particular, have been building giant malls like crazy. So I don't know if like America or like the North American continent still has like, and like I would bet if I were to bet where the biggest malls are, I would say like the biggest one is probably in Dubai, and the second one's probably like somewhere in Southeast Asia. That would be my guess. J. Mike Remy says, owner of a pizza shop is giving me jerseys to ride in to promote his business around town, and free pizzas. You're living the dream, J. Mike. You're living the dream. That'd be great. Very great. I mean, I get shoes from time to time, but getting free pizzas, that just sounds. I gotta figure out a way to make that happen. New goal set. Get free. I need a pizza. I need a pizza sponsor. That's what I need. Ooh, that's what I need. I mean, Jamie's got his water sponsor. Was he trying to get like a breakfast pastry pot sponsorship at some point? I think he was. But no one's got a pizza sponsor. No running channel has a pizza sponsor. That's what I want to do. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Jose Alvarez says, Mall of Asia in the Philippines is ridiculous. It takes like 3 days to visit all the shops. I mean, do you need to visit all the shops though? Because I feel like in a lot of malls that are that size, it's so big that there's more than one of some stores. Because like if you miss one of the gaps, you're not going to walk half a mile to get back to it. You're going to need another gap closer by. Something like that. Lanier says malls are huge in the Philippines to get away from the heat and the humidity outside all year long. Yeah, that's what I was asking my friend Jeremy Cruz. I did an Instagram live with him a little while ago. He's been living in the Philippines for a while now. And I was like, dude, tell me about the mall situation. Why are they so big? And it seems like it's just like everybody goes and hangs out. It's like 1990s New Jersey mall rat culture, like left New Jersey and like expatriated to the Philippines. What's going on? And I was like, is it just the air conditioning? He goes, kind of, pretty much. Runner Review says, anyone see that guy who ran 300 miles in 7 days? Crazy. I didn't see that. Yeah, Franklin Hulier says, I thought malls weren't a thing anymore. Yeah, I mean, the one here in Dubuque is dying. It's dying a slow death. And I read it in the paper today. It lost two more stores. The Children's Place, which is a clothing store, and Justice, which is another kids' clothing store. And that mall, like the most interesting thing to happen to that mall lately was that you could rent. It looks like you're riding like a giant wooden rocking horse. Maybe not giant, but like the size like an adult could ride. And it was like a pink unicorn or something like that. And it rides around the mall. So you could ride around the mall in this thing. And there's different like little like ride-ons, and you rent them for like 30 minutes at a time. I think there's like a trampoline park that went into the mall that's down here. But yeah, it's like really, really sad. But then I was watching something on, I think it was on YouTube not lately, but recently, about giant malls. And there was supposed to be a giant mall going in near like where the Meadowlands are in New Jersey, a huge one. And it's like based off the model of like the ones that are in like the Middle East that have like movie theaters and restaurants and like driving ranges and like little ski slopes inside and stuff like that, where it's this giant like kind of like theme park with retail. And I think that like malls might go that like gargantuan direction, or like the regular size ones are all going to collapse. I don't know. Rainrunner says just what New Jersey needs, another mall. This one's going to be, I don't know what the status of it is, because I think it's been a while since I saw that video, but it was going to be giant and also something for people to do that was within close enough distance from like Newark if you had like a really long layover, so that kind of thing. Frank Lahullier says, I guess you need the building as a place for old people to walk. I mean, I think they need to lean into that in terms of making it more experiential rather than like a transactional, you know. So I think that's what I've been saying for a long time in terms of the future of retail, is that there are really good benefits to a physical location that could be great experiences that you can't emulate online. But now, I mean, yeah. Mark Chanko says it's Xanadu Meadowlands. Is that what it's called? I don't think that's what it's called, is it? Ross W. says, when your shopping mall converts to medium-sized department store into a skate park, you know it's over. I mean, that like trampoline park used to be a, what was it called? It wasn't a JCPenney. All the JCPenney's went out of business. It was a Yonkers. Did you guys have Yonkers where you guys are? It's like a certain subset of the Midwest that has Yonkers. Oh, Jazzy coming in with the update on the facts on the malls. Dubai Mall is the biggest in the world. Edmonton is now number 5 in the world. Yeah, I mean, those crowns, they only last for so long. MC1796 says, that mall in New Jersey has been planned for like 20 years. LOL, it's hit so many snags, it's funny. That's crazy. I didn't know that. Well, I mean, the story that I had seen said like this family had like taken it over from like the latest developers, and they were really excited about it, and they were trying to emulate a Dubai Mall experience. But I mean, it's not cheap, and in a time now when people can't like be close to each other, you know, it's hard. Ina Zumbar says, Hella's 245-mile week was fantastic. You know, I didn't see that, but he got hurt after that, didn't he? He got real hurt. But not so bad that he couldn't keep his running streak going, because didn't he still kept it going through his injury, didn't it? CV76 says, teenagers in malls acting like clowns. Memories. I have a lot of memories. I remember Mallrats. I was like, it's a movie about us. That's what I remember thinking. I particularly resonated with like the 3D Magic Eye and not being able to see it. When will it be my turn, Lord? When will it be my turn? I can never see this. I think it's because I'm colorblind. Martha says, where does the mall in Minnesota place in size? I thought that one was the biggest. You know, I'm not sure, because I was there. I guess I thought it was recently, but I guess now it's been like 4 years. Was it 4? I can't remember if the baby was born yet. But it's been a while, and I went on the zip line. There's a zip line inside because there's like an indoor like little theme park area, and multiple Starbucks, which I guess is not that unusual, but there's like multiple of everything, and a giant Lego store. I mean, the Legos were normal size, but the store was giant, and then there was like a Crayola factory, like kind of mini amusement park in there. It was crazy. It was really big. Stevie76 says, Twin Pines Mall with a wink. Yeah. It's what is it? What was it called when he went back? Was it Lone Pine, or just call it Pine Mall? Because it was normally Twin Pines Mall, but then when he went back again, because the DeLorean had run over one of the two pines, it was just called Pines Mall or something like that. Anyone remember? Oh, Patrick Plum. Yeah, Lone Pine, you mean. That's right. And his Dunbar says, Hella did the same run streak as Forrest Gump and is still going, even with an injury. That guy is crazy. Chris Dyke says, Kofuzi, good to know I'm not the only one that could never see those images. I never could. I saw one for like a second one time, I thought. I swore I did. But my mind probably just gave me like a placebo. Yeah, you saw a sailboat. Guy says, there was a guy in Manchester, UK who did a half marathon a day in June, then did a marathon a day in July. Now that's dedication. That's crazy. There was a guy. What was his name? He was doing like a marathon a weekend, out of somewhere in the UK, or that I'm not sure which country it was. Um, and the accent was really thick, and I had a hard time understanding half of it. And his like merch shirts were just Deeit, because of the way that country's like native accent was. Do it comes out as like Deeit, and so I was like, I need that shirt. Please send me one of those shirts, because they weren't like for sale. He just made up a couple of them. I was like, can you send me one? I'll pay you for it. I forget his name, but then he did like a marathon a week, and he did like a video about it. And it wasn't like he was racing it. He was like just doing like a 26-mile run, stopping in towns, meeting people, like hanging out, and just like I would hear this like dialect where I couldn't understand what he was saying like more than half the time, but it was like very sing-song, and I was just captivated by it. And then I think he got hurt, and then I don't know where the channel went. I don't remember anymore. Yeah. Martha says malls are tiring. Between the light and air and music, at least those outlet areas like in Silverton, Colorado, you're outside some of the time. Yeah, we used to. In the town that I grew up in New Jersey, well, where I graduated from high school, there was outlets in, I guess it was in Flemington, New Jersey, would have been the town, and there was like it was kind of like an outdoor like outlet mall like that, and I thought it was super frustrating. Because I was like, this is so inefficient compared to a mall. Why isn't this just a mall where everything is just like in the same building? And then if it rains or in the wintertime, you gotta keep taking your coat on and off. Like, what a hassle. I hated it as a teenager. But I like those now. There's one of those like in, what is it, in Chicago? Is not Oak Park, Oak Brook? That one's very pretentious. I don't not like it, but not because it's an outdoor mall kind of area. Yeah, Lenny A says she can't see the hidden 3D images either, and she's not colorblind. Yeah, I know that there's like a subset of people that just can't see it. Plant Power Dan said Tony Riddles did 30 miles a day for 30 days in the UK. That is a lot of miles. Whew. Yeah, J Page says David Goggins running on broken feet and taping his legs because of severe shin splints for the win. Yeah, you can't beat that guy. I just hit, like a video came up about him today in my Instagram feed, and like every time I watch one, I mean, I know I follow him on Instagram, but like every once in a while, I'll like a montage video of his will like pop up, not necessarily from his channel. And every time I see him, it just gets me fired up because the guy is insane. It just makes you want to go out there and work hard. And his Dunbar says Goggins takes it to another level, and that's for sure. Steve says his bedroom was covered in magic eye pics as a young teen. Really? That's crazy. And Lewis M says when he was 13, he got shin splints and thought he broke his legs. It's like the opposite of Goggins. That's funny. Recycle on Wednesday can't see the images either. As a kid, I eventually refused to even try because I became convinced it was a prank. Yeah, one time someone was like, I see a Tyrannosaurus and it's doing like this, and I was like, how is that even possible? I was like, that doesn't even make sense. I thought people were lying to me. But I was like, there's an entire store. There was like the Successories mall kiosk, like in the middle, and there was like, well, all the Successories posters. And then next to it was like the 3D Magic Guy. I'm like, they couldn't possibly have an entire kiosk at the mall dedicated to like a prank image. That wouldn't even make sense. But yeah. Stevie76 says, I see images of the finish line on mile 26. Dope. That's funny. All right. Guy says, talking about the guy that I was thinking of, the guy that ran like a marathon every weekend, says, think he was from Newcastle in England. Do they have a strength, is Newcastle northern? Because I felt like it was northern, like one of those kinds of dialects up further north, that are just harder for me to understand as an American. Is Newcastle further north? I don't understand I don't know the geography, I'm afraid. Yeah, Chris Dyke says food courts were the place to be. I spent a lot of time in food courts. I still, to this day, one of my favorite foods to eat, like my indulgence food, like when I'm sick. Well, when I'm sick, what I do love to eat is shinramen. The other thing that I like to do when I'm feeling tired or when it's cold and I want something to like really warm me up, one of my favorite foods is the chow mein at Panda Express. I just love that food. That is amazing. And I don't care that it's not Chinese food, but uh-oh, battery died. All right, guys, I think it's a good time to leave it. My battery just died on the camera, so it's 3:55, and I'm just rambling about food now. So I think it's a good time to go. Sorry to cut out on you visually, but I had a lot of fun talking about food, and this was a giant trip down memory lane, which I love. That's like my favorite part about like the live streams and just like podcasting in general is like you're really hitting on the medium's strengths when you're like going back on stuff that there might not be like footage for. And so hopefully that's what we got a sense of today. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for today. I'll be have another video tomorrow morning, and then we'll do another live stream. We'll have Trivia Tuesday tomorrow. And yeah, hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I'll see you. I will see you visually because I'll make sure I have my batteries fully charged. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks, everybody.